How we approach our communication and how we approach others when we're nervous about our communication can make a tremendous difference. How we approach
Mm. Hey, how you doing? We're almost there.
Not easy to share.
that no one's done trying to discover something that's never been observed. So it's going to be challenging. And in order to do that, you have to really
So I'm here to share with you this strategy.
Hello.
Hello, Jishi.
Oh, we are here.
You're here. That's
You
great.
see
Well, tell me what you can see.
the Jerry coming here. We are it's breakfast, but now we go convention, go baby care convention.
Right? You're going to leave now? Or are you going to
Yeah.
leave after the show?
We just finished your class and we go. We eat breakfast and we take
Right.
it.
Well, good. We're really looking forward to having you on the show.
Yeah, but we saw the Indian, but very earlier, not get up. Well, we
Yeah.
live with the friend here, different country, all different schedule.
That's right. Different countries, different schedules.
Yeah. Let's have it better. I get up. 对了吧？对，水放多了还是有吸引的。
Well, we're just about ready to start.
还是有出来。水放多了。
Do you see the countdown?
我在看单。
There's a clock, like a clock over here on the side. Do you see that on your screen?
倒计时哦 ，yes, yes, 4, 3, 2.
2, 1, 0, blast off. Hey, it's HealthEagle Show.
Yeah.
All right, so let's put that aside. We've got you all there. I can see Jishi's beautiful face. I know Jerry's online. We're going to go ahead and get started. And we're going to be talking about stress and anxiety and meditation. And we're going to go to the next slide. Okay, so we're just going to remind everybody that the Health Eagle Show is a weekly presentation of information relating to the great nutrition, appropriate exercise, and healthy lifestyles that help optimize longevity by improving health and happiness in creating the healthiest family on earth. That's because too many people die too long and live too short, and we're endeavoring to help change that paradigm. So I want to talk about stress, anxiety, and meditation today. If you are alive, you will never be without stress. Stress is natural and it is necessary. Having stress means that you are alive. To be without stress means that you're dead and no longer have a need for stress. You have stress to keep you alive and to help you find a better way to live. When stress becomes negatively affecting you, that is called anxiety. When anxiety becomes troubling to your body and mind, you need to find different coping techniques. And you cannot eliminate stress, but you should be able to cope with it and reduce the anxiety by finding coping techniques. So we need to find ways to address that anxiety that you feel. That way you don't become overwhelmed and can actually thrive during your stress. By using your tools for stress management, you can enjoy life without overwhelming anxiety. One useful tool to change your attitude towards stress. Another is to use your meditation. And I want to introduce you to that. All right. And the reason why I want to do that and this topic come up is because of that picture on your left with that white car being loaded up onto a flatbed. Well, I've been on the travels all this month, traveling around, visiting family, visiting friends, and talking USANA. And here in Virginia, I had a serious engine problem, and I had to put my car in the shop. And it looks like it's going to be there till next month. Well, I got to stay on the road, and I figured, well, shoot, I got to do something about it. So if the problem is a gift, where is the bow? How do I unwrap it, right? So in this particular case, I had to get a new truck. And there we have it. So let's go find out about stress.
I have a confession to make. But first, I want you to make a little confession to me. In the past year, I want you to just raise your hand if you've experienced relatively little stress. Anyone? How about a moderate amount of stress? Who's experienced a lot of stress? Yeah, me too. But that is not my confession. My confession is this: I'm a health psychologist, and my mission is to help people be happier and healthier. But I fear that something I've been teaching for the last 10 years is doing more harm than good, and it has to do with stress. For years, I've been telling people stress makes you sick. It increases the risk of everything from the common cold to cardiovascular disease. Basically, I've turned stress into the enemy. But I've changed my mind about stress. And today, I want to change yours. Let me start with the study that made me rethink my whole approach to stress. This study tracked 30,000 adults in the United States for 8 years. And they started by asking people, how much stress have you experienced in the last year? They also asked, do you believe that stress is harmful for your health? And then they used public death records to find out who died. Okay, some bad news first. People who experienced a lot of stress in the previous year had a 43% increased risk of dying. But that was only true for the people who also believed that stress is harmful for your health. People who experienced a lot of stress but did not view stress as harmful were no more likely to die. In fact, they had the lowest risk of dying of anyone in the study, including people who had relatively little stress. Now, the researchers estimated that over the 8 years they were tracking deaths, 182,000 Americans died prematurely, not from stress, but from the belief that stress is bad for you. That is over 20,000 deaths a year. Now, if that estimate is correct, that would make believing stress is bad for you the 15th largest cause of death in the United States last year, killing more people than skin cancer, HIV, AIDS, and homicide.
Helen Hansel was able to win any competition she took part in. She was known as the contest queen because
you can see why this study freaked me out. Here I've been spending so much energy telling people stress is bad for your health. So this study got me wondering, can changing how you think about stress make you healthier? And here the science says yes. When you change your mind about stress, you can change your body's response to stress. Now, to explain how this works, I want you all to pretend that you are participants in a study designed to stress you out. It's called the social stress test. You come into the laboratory and you're told you have to give a 5-minute impromptu speech on your personal weaknesses to a panel of expert evaluators sitting right in front of you. And to make sure you feel the pressure, there are bright lights and a camera in your face, kind of like this. And the evaluators have been trained to give you discouraging nonverbal feedback, like this. Now that you're sufficiently demoralized, time for part 2, a math test. And unbeknownst to you, the experimenter has been trained to harass you during it. Now, we're gonna all do this together. It's gonna be fun, for me. Okay. I want you all to count backwards from 996 in increments of 7. You're gonna do this out loud as fast as you can, starting with 996. Go. Go faster. Faster, please. You're going too slow. Stop, 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 stop. that guy made a mistake. We're gonna have to start all over again. You're not very good at this, are you? Okay, so you get the idea. Now, if you were actually in this study, you'd probably be a little stressed out. Your heart might be pounding, you might be breathing faster, maybe breaking out into a sweat. And normally we interpret these physical changes as anxiety or signs that we aren't coping very well with the pressure. But what if you viewed them instead as signs that your body was energized, was preparing you to meet this challenge? Now, that is exactly what participants were told in a study conducted at Harvard University. Before they went through the social stress test, they were taught to rethink their stress response as helpful. That pounding heart is preparing you for action. If you're breathing faster, it's no problem. It's getting more oxygen to your brain. And participants who learned to view the stress response as helpful for their performance, well, they were less stressed out, less anxious, more confident. But the most fascinating finding to me was how their physical stress response changed. Now, in a typical stress response, your heart rate goes up and your blood vessels constrict like this. And this is one of the reasons that chronic stress is sometimes associated with cardiovascular disease. It's not really healthy to be in this state all the time. But in the study, when participants viewed their stress response as helpful, their blood vessels stayed relaxed like this. Their heart was still pounding, but this is a much healthier cardiovascular profile. It actually looks a lot like what happens in moments of joy and courage. Over a lifetime of stressful experiences, this one biological change could be the difference between a stress-induced heart attack at age 50 and living well into your 90s. And this is really what the new science of stress reveals, that how you think about stress matters. So my goal as a health psychologist has changed. I no longer want to get rid of your stress. I want to make you better at stress. And we just did a little intervention. If you raised your hand and said you'd had a lot of stress in the last year, we could have saved your life. Because hopefully the next time your heart is pounding from stress, you're going to remember this talk, and you're going to think to yourself, this is my body helping me rise to this challenge. And when you view stress in that way, your body believes you, and your stress response becomes healthier. Now, I said I have over a decade of demonizing stress to redeem myself from. So we are going to do one more intervention. I want to tell you about one of the most underappreciated aspects of the stress response. And the idea is this: stress makes you social. To understand this side of stress, we need to talk about a hormone, oxytocin. And I know oxytocin has already gotten as much hype as a hormone can get. It even has its own cute nickname, the cuddle hormone, because it's released when you hug someone. But this is a very small part of what oxytocin is involved in. Oxytocin is a neurohormone. It fine-tunes your brain's social instincts. It primes you to do things that strengthen close relationships. Oxytocin makes you crave physical contact with your friends and family. It enhances your empathy. It even makes you more willing to help and support the people you care about. Some people have even suggested we should snort oxytocin to become more compassionate and caring. But here's what most people don't understand about oxytocin. It's a stress hormone. Your pituitary gland pumps this stuff out as part of the stress response. It's as much a part of your stress response as the adrenaline that makes your heart pound. And when oxytocin is released in the stress response, it is motivating you to seek support. Your biological stress response is nudging you to tell someone how you feel instead of bottling it up. Your stress response wants to make sure you notice when someone else in your life is struggling so that you can support each other. When life is difficult, your stress response wants you to be surrounded by people who care about you. Okay, so how is knowing this side of stress going to make you healthier? Well, oxytocin doesn't only act on your brain, it also acts on your body. And one of its main roles in your body is to protect your cardiovascular system from the effects of stress. It's a natural anti-inflammatory. It also helps your blood vessels stay relaxed during stress. But my favorite effect on the body is actually on the heart. Your heart has receptors for this hormone. And oxytocin helps heart cells regenerate and heal from any stress-induced damage. This stress hormone strengthens your heart. And the cool thing is that all of these physical benefits of oxytocin are enhanced by social contact and social support. So when you reach out to others under stress, either to seek support or to help someone else, you release more of this hormone, your stress response becomes healthier, and you actually recover faster from stress. I find this amazing that your stress response has a built-in mechanism for stress resilience. And that mechanism is human connection. I want to finish by telling you about one more study. And listen up, because this study could also save a life. This study tracked about 1,000 adults in the United States, and they ranged in age from 34 to 93. And they started the study by asking, how much stress have you experienced in the last year? They also asked, how much time have you spent helping out friends, neighbors, people in your community? And then they used public records for the next 5 years to find out who died. Okay, so the bad news first. For every major stressful life experience, like financial difficulties or family crisis, that increased the risk of dying by 30%. But, and I hope you are expecting a but by now, but that wasn't true for everyone. People who spent time caring for others showed absolutely no stress-related increase in dying, 0. Caring created resilience. And so we see once again that the harmful effects of stress on your health are not inevitable. How you think and how you act can transform your experience of stress. When you choose to view your stress response as helpful, you create the biology of courage. And when you choose to connect with others under stress, you can create resilience. Now, I wouldn't necessarily ask for more stressful experiences in my life, but this science has given me a whole new appreciation for stress. Stress gives us access to our hearts. The compassionate heart that finds joy and meaning in connecting with others. And yes, your pounding physical heart working so hard to give you strength and energy. And when you choose to view stress in this way, you're not just getting better at stress, you're actually making a pretty profound statement. You're saying that you can trust yourself to handle life's challenges. And you're remembering that you don't have to face them alone. Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, this is kind of amazing what you're telling us. It seems amazing to me that a belief about stress can make so much difference to someone's life expectancy. How would that extend to advice? Like if someone's making a lifestyle choice between, say, a stressful job and a non-stressful job, does it matter that which way they go, that it's equally wise to go for the stressful job so long as you believe that you can handle it in some sense?
Yeah, and one thing we know for certain is that chasing meaning is better for your health than trying to avoid discomfort. And so I would say that's really the best way to make decisions, is go after what it is that creates meaning in your life and then trust yourself to handle the stress that follows.
Thank you so much, Kelly.
Thank you.
It's really cool.
Here's one thing you need to do before you buy anything online.
Okay.
Don't spend another dime on Amazon until you watch this first.
Watch this. I can show you how to get the sweetest deals online when you shop.
All right. Hopefully we didn't shut everything else off. And we wanted to talk a little bit about this because this is something that's really important to me. And I've used it as something ever since I left college and I read the book Joy of Stress, is that you find joy in stress. The more stress you have, the better able you are to succeed. And therefore, you have this ability to go forward and succeed. Whereas other people who avoid stress altogether, they avoid life. They're looking for a way out. And I'm not looking for a way out, and hopefully you're not. So let's look at stress in a different way. Let's all succeed at stress, right? And look at it as a positive thing rather than as a negative thing. And if we do that, we're actually increasing our lifespan. We're increasing our longevity by believing and understanding that stress makes us strong. All right. So we're going to go on to the next slide. And we're going to talk about anxiety. And in anxiety, what we're going to do, it looks like, yeah, I got to go here. All right. Problem here is that's not what we're looking for. So,
Hey, David.
yes.
Your video doesn't show for the last one and current one.
The last video didn't show?
Yes. But that's
Well,
okay. Just keep moving on.
I will keep moving on. Were you able to hear it?
Yes.
Okay, that's great, because all you were doing was looking at a lady who was talking on stage. But nevertheless, there we have it. We're going to talk about anxiety. Anxiety is the feeling of fear or dread and uneasiness. It might cause you to sweat, feel restless and tense, and have a rapid heartbeat. It can be a normal reaction to stress. And we'll go on from here, and I will have to, there we go.
How we approach our communication and how we approach others when we're nervous about our communication can make a tremendous difference in feeling confident and portraying that confidence. I'm Matt Abrahams, and I teach strategic communication at Stanford Graduate School of Business. Welcome to Think Fast, Talk Smart, the podcast. I am really excited today to chat with Kelly McGonigal. Kelly is a lecturer at Stanford GSB who teaches a class on presentation and communication skills for academics. She is also the best-selling author of The Willpower Instinct, The Upside of Stress, and her latest book is The Joy of Movement, How Exercise Helps Us Find Happiness, Hope, Connection, and Courage.
Welcome, Kelly. Thanks for being here. I am super excited to get time with you.
Oh, thank you for having me. I know we have a lot to talk about. I think we have a lot of common passions.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and get started. You have so many interesting and exciting areas that you look into and explore. I look forward to talking about all of them. But I'd like to start where I first came to know you and your work. Like millions of people, and I mean like 29 millions of people, I watched your TED Talk, How to Make Stress Your Friend. We've addressed the topic of anxiety management and communication several times on this podcast, and I'm just curious to get your take on how we can manage anxiety and leverage the benefits that it has for our communication.
Oh, leverage the benefits of anxiety for communication. Okay, well, let me start by saying I'm someone who was born anxious, so I come to this sincerely and in a bit of desperation, right? It's not one of those people who's like, oh, I've never been nervous, and therefore I'll teach other people how not to be nervous. It's more, I know what it's like to have a panic attack, so let's figure out how to stay engaged with life, even when anxiety is a part of your life. And I would say, so since you said the benefit of it, I think that for me, what I have come to value about anxiety is it's a sign that I care. So, for example, when I start to feel anxious now, I will say to myself, my heart is in it, which is a kind of a mindset reset. I can feel my heart pounding maybe, or I feel other stuff happening in my body.
And saying my heart is in it is a way of embracing that one of the reasons I have anxiety is not because my nervous system is broken or, I'm a person who just can't face life. I have anxiety in moments that matter where I recognize that something is at stake and I want to contribute or I want to do my best. I want to serve. I want to enjoy life. When you come to value that anxiety is a signal of meaning often or a signal of caring, then the benefit is in staying wholehearted. So that in that moment, I don't have to say to myself, Kelly, if you don't calm down, you're going to blow it. Or Kelly, why are you anxious? What's wrong with you? I don't have to get into that self-talk. I can instead double down on the caring. I can think about who and what I care about, why this matters to me. Maybe I can imagine the best possible outcome. And then I can also use the energy that often comes with anxiety. I've come to recognize anxiety as a physical state that actually really does serve me when I am in a role that I'm meant to be in. So, for example, teaching. If I don't get anxious before I teach a class, I mean any class, a class I've taught 1,000 times before, if I'm not feeling anxious right before it or even when I'm walking over to teach it, there's something wrong. It's almost like I'm dissociated from the fact that this is what I was born to do. I prepared really hard for it. I really want to connect with my students. If I'm not feeling that, something's off because I've learned that I can actually trust myself to use that energy. I know that that energy, like my body is now a vehicle for it. Right. And that comes in part from practice, a lot of preparation, and then this developing self-trust.
I really like how you literally embody the notion of greeting your anxiety. And the mantra that, my heart's in it is so powerful because one of the first signs people report is their heart's pounding and it distracts them. But if you embrace that and say, hey, this means that I care about this, and it even extends to I care about the audience that I'm in front of. Yeah. And I hear you about getting nervous about something that's important and how it clues me into this is meaningful for me. And I also get nervous before I teach. And I now look for it like you do. And if I didn't have it,
Has it ever happened? Like once or twice I've had a class where I was feeling kind of numb before, and man, that things did not go well.
Right. It's either one I've done before or something was distracting and you missed
that. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I wasn't present for it. And that's even another way to reframe it, that sometimes my anxiety is a sign of presence, which is so different from how people typically think of presence as being very calm. I actually love the energy of anxiety when it's that right combination of adrenaline and endorphins and dopamine. We love this feeling. People do all sorts of things to try to get that chemical cocktail of adrenaline and dopamine and endorphins. By paying attention to my physiology and other activities I love, like working out, I realize it feels very physically similar. So I just have to give myself a goal. Like, anxiety is not as great in situations where I have nothing to do. I will be honest about that. When it's worrying about the future and there's nothing I can do, or I'm on an airplane and I clearly can't fly it. Like anxiety in those moments, I have other coping skills for. But since you asked specifically about speaking or that kind of performance.
No, that's exactly right. And I think it's that reframing that these are the normal physiological symptoms that in many cases we seek out and enjoy. I think about first dates or exciting conversations, and we're doing the same thing, but we frame them as, hey, this is a great thing. I really like that. You and I both teach communication skills at the GSB. In fact, as part of the COVID emergency plan that was put in place here, you and I were backups for each other if one of us got really sick.
This is a smart policy, by the way. I actually think that was pretty good that we got in the habit of doing that.
Right.
But yes, that was
Well, it
that
reduced stress for me that I knew somebody as competent as you could step in. Although I do have to admit I got a little nervous that my students would like you more than me if I disappeared. I'm curious, what do you find are the most common mistakes you see our students and those you coach when it comes to communication?
Yeah, so first of all, let me set the context. I work primarily with PhD students who are all doing amazing research. So they're used to communicating their research in academic settings, and my class is to help them communicate in every setting, professionally at conferences, but also to the media and to potential collaborators and stakeholders and a random person on the street. And I would say that the thing that I say over and over again, and we do all of these exercises to try to practice it, and yet is really hard for them, is to talk about crunchy details, not abstractions. So I don't want to know that you study the technological interface of emotions and artificial intelligence in market analysis of blah, like basically string of nouns. And I'm waiting to like, okay, would you point to something that you actually study? Like, for example, a dating app. Okay, great. And what problem are you trying to solve? How to get people better matches or something like that. And so I'm always saying like, show me the actual thing. Show me the question you ask people in your study. Take a picture of people doing the thing that you study, even if what you're doing is modeling and you never leave your computer. Go out into the world and take a picture of the thing that you're modeling so that I understand. So I say like, that's the biggest thing we work on. I talk about coming up with artifacts for your research, the photos, the videos, the audio samples, the objects that will help people understand what you do, and using language that people will immediately understand. I think the other mistake is the mindset that a lot of academics have, in part because they're terrified. Getting a PhD is basically understanding that you don't know anything and people are eager to point that out to you. So people get in this habit of feeling like they have to prove that they know stuff, hide that they don't know stuff, and also persuade you that their research is correct. So a lot of times in research presentations or communications, my students will try to like talk fast and deliver things so fast you can barely keep up, so you can't interrupt with critiques. And I don't want to take questions because the questions might reveal what I don't know. There's this idea that like my job is to just sort of push my research at you and get through it without there being any kind of critical dialogue. And what I always say is the purpose of any really interesting communication should be for the other person to have interesting thoughts in their own head about your work. It's not to convince them that your work is right or important or that you know everything about it. You want the person who is listening to you or watching you to think, wait, what if this? Or I wonder if, or I don't think so. The degree to which they are having their own interesting, spontaneous thoughts and questions, that's the measure of success. It really reframes like what you're doing and how you do it. Those are two things we spend a lot of time talking about.
Wow. So there's a lot there. I really like that the goal is to have people have their own experience about your content. Absolutely. And it not only does that invite collaboration rather than challenge and threat, it also forces you, I think, to be audience-centric. My goal is to have you have an experience rather than me just push all that information.
We do all that. I teach empathic design for talks. What do they need to know? When do they need to know it? What do they need to see? What do they need to like literally visually see? When do they need to be able to interrupt? That it really is from that point of view.
And this is not just for academics. Anybody is in that same position. I coach and teach executives and managers who feel like they don't want to be threatened and challenged. They just want to push out their decrees and move forward. It's the same thing.
The thing I always tell them is, if there are problems with your work, people already know. And it's so funny. I'll see students, they'll say something kind of interesting, and I'll be like, wait a minute. That was so fascinating. Like I'm remembering that this woman in my class had mentioned that she calculated stuff with a certain 15-minute window during market trading. And it was like very specific. I was like, that's so interesting. Why that 15-minute window? And tell me more about that. She's like, well, I kind of rushed through that because I didn't want anyone to ask questions about it. I was afraid that maybe it was like the wrong choice. I'm like, no, this is that you made a choice is interesting. And it almost doesn't matter if it's the perfect choice. I want to know that you made a choice. I want to hear why you made the choice. I want to be able to have an opinion about your choice.
I think that particular example is really important and resonates nicely with some of the things we've talked about when we've talked with folks who are experts at improv. Make a choice, commit to the choice, be behind that choice, and be willing to accept what consequences come from that choice. And I don't want to lose what you said earlier about this notion of help people actually see what you're talking about. And that is so critical. It is so easy to hide behind slides and data, but if you can actually help people have an experience of what you're talking about.
And it can be with data too. So I'm always saying, like, if you've got videos of babies doing funny things because you study infant cognition, show the baby videos. But also, if what you've got is data or a model, You know, what people always do is they put it all up there and they're like, as you can see, X, next. I'm like, no.
Right.
You don't say, as you can see.
Right.
You walk me through it. What you're looking at here is this. Notice this. Like, you zoom in, you interpret it. This dot, this slope, whatever. This means this. As you can see, it's different from that. Like, you want people to actually see it. So it can be photos and videos, or it can be data. But the idea that somebody can understand something just because their eyes see it on a slide, that's so different from somebody having an actual understanding and an opinion about it.
Oh, absolutely. And it takes them outside of themselves and puts them in their audience's perspective. And I just want to get meta for a second, and not Facebook. But you have done a great job in the answer to that question of doing exactly what you're talking about. You help show us and give us an experience of it. You are an excellent communicator yourself, both in writing and speaking. I'm wondering if you can share a bit about your process. What do you do as you're thinking about crafting your communication?
I always start with the best possible outcome for the audience that I care about most, right? So you can never control everyone who's in the room or everyone who reads, you know, the op-ed that you write or the book that you write. So I'm always thinking, well, who am I really trying to speak to or reach? And what's the best possible outcome for them? Do I want them to feel a certain way? Do I want them to change their behavior in a certain way? And then I work backwards and I think, what do they need to hear? What do they need to do? What story could I tell that would make that outcome more likely? And, you know, I'm often like literally just writing this stuff down. I'm writing that out. And I start to get ideas for content blocks. And this would be true if I was drafting a chapter for a book or giving a keynote. And I'll often think, well, what are these content blocks? Like, what's the best story that I have? What's the best case study I have? What's the best scientific study I have? You know, I really learned to put things in judiciously, and that it only has to be one. I only have to tell.
All right. So going into that, I was a little slow in cutting it off, but basically the whole idea is that oftentimes we feel anxious about talking to people, and this addressed both the whole issue of using anxiety as a preparatory tool, but also in terms of how you address it in your life, but how it can help you prepare for presentations. And we get a chance to talk to people all the time as USANA representatives and associates as we talk about our products, and having that little bit of anxiety in order to prep that is really actually a very good thing, not a bad thing. So we come back to that whole idea of attitude towards both stress and anxiety as being a positive tool rather than a negative tool. Not only will it help us in our own personal health, but it will also help us in our preparation and how we address the presentation or the situation of the stress. And it also helps us get our cognitive hands around the issues that are there so that we can come up with the best possible solution as an outcome. And that's one of the things that I wanted to go forward with. And now I wanted to turn our heads just a little bit towards beyond the tool of changing your attitude towards stress and anxiety to one of being positive, so that it is a positive impact on you and not a negative. And remember from that first presentation is that it's your attitude towards it that actually changes it from a negative to a positive. If you believe that stress is harmful, then it's going to be harmful to you. But if you believe that stress is going to be positive and a helpful thing, then it's going to be positive and helpful to you. And that was the whole summary of the medical study that went into stress and anxiety. And now let's go here to another tool, and that is in meditation. And meditation is the practice in which an individual uses a technique such as mindfulness or focusing of the mind on a particular object, thought, or activity to train attention and awareness and achieve a mentally clear and emotionally calm, stable state. Now, it isn't necessarily all about the ums, that is sitting back and thinking of nothing, all right? It can be just a matter of thinking about one thing calmly and peacefully so that your mind can get around whatever it is that you're focusing on. And we're going to have Shannon Albarelli, who's a PhD in psychiatry, okay, talk about meditation and wellness and how to deal with stressors in modern life. And we're going to go to control. And unfortunately,
you seek the key, but you must first learn the discipline.
There we are. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, we want to come out here to
So I'm here to share with you this strategy. It takes 8 minutes. And it will dramatically reduce your stress, reduce your stress, reduce your anxiety. It will dramatically help you improve your clarity, your energy, and it's clinically proven to improve the structure of your brain. The cost to you is 8 minutes. And my question to you is your well-being worth 8 minutes a day? So we live in this world of this age of overwhelm, this age of overload. And what I'm going to tell you, what I'm going to share with you are 3 ways in which meditation is going to help you. Number 1, it's going to give you more energy and more clarity. Number 2, it's going to reduce your anxiety and your stress. And number 3, it's going to improve your brain function. It takes 8 minutes, and 8 minutes a day will change your life. Let's get into energy and clarity, which is a resource that's hard to find these days. We live in what some call the age of overload. How many people feel burnt out by the news cycle? How many people feel overwhelmed by the choices out there? And how many people feel anxious about seeing everybody's perfect lives on social media? We are inundated with so much information, it's hard to keep it straight. When's the last time you've taken 5 minutes of uninterrupted quiet time? If you're like my kids, it's never, really rare. That's not okay. We need time to recharge. We don't have this time. We're constantly inundated. We don't have this time to rest and recharge. And I did a little research before I came here. And did you know that the average Snapchat user spends 49.5 minutes on Snapchat a day? And the average Instagram user spends 53 minutes of their time every day on Instagram. That's a lot of time. And I'm not asking you to give up Snapchat, and I'm not asking you to give up Instagram. What I'm asking of you today is to carve out 8 minutes from your social media feeds to calm your nervous system, to recharge your battery, and to help you gain a sense of clarity. 8 minutes will change your life. We used to live in a world where work and life and home life were very separated. But they're not so separate anymore because we have our devices and they follow us everywhere. Our private time is no longer private. We're being held accountable at all hours of the day. And there is no rest and recovery time. And so what I'm saying to you today is it's more important than ever to put that into your day, to schedule that time to recharge. 8 minutes a day will change your life. So we talked about energy and clarity, and now we're going to move on to anxiety, because this age of overload has created a perpetual state of anxiety. We are constantly anxious. Everybody is anxious. And anxiety is the root cause of stress. And stress is the leading cause of illness and death. So this is serious, and the consequences are real. Kids are paying attention more to their screens and to their reputations and grades than they're getting to know who they really are on the inside. Parents are so overwhelmed by all the influences on themselves and their kids that they're losing who they are. And what's happening is that our inner voices are getting suffocated. And when you can't hear your inner voice, you can't make sound decisions. And so let's bring this now to what's happening here in Chatham. In a recent study in 2016, 62% of students reported not being able to remain cool and calm as a response to stress. 35% of students report their response to stress as jittery and cannot sit still. 27% of students report never finding time to sit still and be quiet with no distractions. This is not okay. The recommendation from the survey was we need to promote healthy coping mechanisms to deal with stress. We need to find a better way. And what I'm suggesting to you today is that one of these ways, one of these better ways, is to take 8 minutes out of your day to get quiet, to tune into your own inner voice, and to find who you are. So we talked about energy and clarity, and we talked about anxiety, and now I want to bring it to your brain structure. And this is where the magic of meditation comes in, is because I'm not just talking about something that's going to make you feel good. I'm talking about something that's going to change and positively impact the structure of your brain. A recent study found that in as little as 8 minutes a day for 8 weeks, there is a positive and significant impact on your cerebral health. Harvard scientists have found that meditation conclusively and positively changes your brain structure. Studies out of Massachusetts are showing that people who meditate have more gray matter. They develop more gray matter in their brain. And that gray matter helps with cognition. It helps with memory. And it helps with emotion regulation, among many other things. And so the people who meditate have more of this. And the thing about gray matter is that as you age, your gray matter declines. That's that cognitive decline. But another study found that 50-year-old long-term meditators had the same amount of gray matter as 25-year-old non-meditators. So we're beginning to find out that meditation can prevent that cognitive decline. And we're just starting to really get all the research together to understand just how powerful meditation can be on your brain, and for your life. So I'm asking you, is your well-being and your brain health worth 8 minutes? Let's take it to your daily life. This is a picture before a meditation and after. And you can see that the brain before is sort of more reactive and is settled down after. So let's say you're at home, your kids are driving you crazy and they're pushing your buttons and they're fighting, and it happens to me all the time. And you want to scream. But maybe if you've taken your 8 minutes, you're able to be a little bit more calm. You're able to be a little bit more responsive versus reactive. And maybe at the end of the day, you rest your head on the pillow and you think, okay, I did okay today. I was an okay parent. And let's take it to road rage. You know, happens a lot, right? So it's real. So you're on the road and someone cuts you off and you want to scream. But maybe if you've taken your 8 minutes that day, you feel a little bit more centered. Maybe it doesn't feel so bad. And maybe at the end of the day, you feel just more centered and more calm as a human being. That's what meditation has done for me.
If you sleep on your side, I bet you hate your pillow, and this is why. They might be as fluffy.
I'm sharing this with you because if meditation is something that helped me in the greatest storm of my life, I know that it's something that can help you and navigate the waters of your life. It works, and it's worth it. And so I want you to feel what it feels like to be in this state. So indulge me for a minute as I guide you through 1 minute of meditation. Place your feet on the ground. And you can close your eyes or just gaze down in front of you. And begin with a long, slow, deep breath. Breathe in through your nose, and as you exhale, let your shoulders drop. And we'll begin and end with the sound of the bell. Start to pay attention to the simple fact that you're breathing. And feel the cool air as it comes in through your nose and the warm air as it comes out. And then feel a sense of relaxation travel from the top of your head, down your forehead, softening your eyelids, letting your jaw drop down. Feel your shoulders drop a little lower from your ears. Feel your seat in the chair, the support of the chair underneath you. Feel your feet in your shoes. Take a moment to come back to your breath and breathing in. Just be aware that you're breathing in. Breathing out, be aware that you're breathing out. And in a moment, I'll gently call your attention back to this room with the bell, and you can slowly open your eyes. How many people feel different than when they first walked in the room? So imagine what this would feel like if you did this for 8 minutes. And imagine what your life would be like if you committed to 8 minutes a day, every day. Meditation is like taking a vitamin. It's not like taking an Advil. The more you do it, the better results you see and the sweeter your life feels. What I'm asking of you today is to make a commitment. Make a commitment to yourself. Make a commitment to spending 8 minutes on your well-being. And when I'm done speaking, I want you to turn to your right or left or anyone who's next to you and tell them when and where you're going to do this. I do it in my car. I park my car before I go into work, and I park my car before I go home. And however many minutes I do it, it works and it's worth it. So I'll end here by saying if you consistently meditate for 8 minutes a day, you may just find yourself. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So let me go back to share screen just for a second here. And okay, we got that. We can go back here and there, and then we're back. And you know, I love the part where the doctor says it's not like taking a medication, it's like taking vitamins. And how close can we get to relate to that as we are talking about the benefits of great nutrition, right? And appropriate exercise. And it goes in there where you can build in your meditation with your yoga. And at the same time, then you have this healthy lifestyle, and that is a mindfulness and an approach to life that allows you to enjoy the stresses that are everyday occurrences. And sometimes they're big ones and sometimes they're small ones, but it's always there. And you need to appreciate the fact that if you don't feel stress, you're not alive. And there we have it. So we're going to go on to that last slide, which basically, let's get this here and go to the last slide. And we say it's the end and we talk about next week. So I want everybody to open up their microphones, okay? So we can have a little bit of a conversation and see how you all enjoyed the presentation today and what we can talk about that was going to affect your life next week. So everybody on mute. Hello.
Hello, David.
Hello, Mila. Did you enjoy that? You're on your. I thought you would. After our previous questions on stress.
Very needed. Very good information. Oh, David, we're heading to the convention now, so
okay.
I'll talk to you later.
All right. Well, you all have a wonderful time, and remember that you know, you got to love your stress.
Yes, you know it.
Okay. You and Mom have a great time, and you know, go there, and all the other representatives from our family, give them our love and go there. We've got of course, you know, have an opportunity to add a couple new family members here in the Virginia area, and now go back and enjoy that. So let's go. Pardon me, Mila? I didn't hear that.
Yes, we're so excited. The convention started soon. A lot of people are coming to baby care. So very excited.
Right.
Actually, they have a team. They got the whole bus and brought the teams here. So it was very inspirational.
Loaded up a bus and brought their team there. Well, you know, as we go forward, you know, the next convention, well, this convention is already sold out, and we can only find, you know, get folks in if there's openings and they're in the waiting list. But next year's convention, we need to act pretty quick so that we can get in. And what I'd like to do is bring, you know, pick up a package of tickets so that we can offer them to our family and get all of our family there in the 2025 timeframe for that 35th anniversary convention, which will be in Salt Lake City. And it's going to be an international, it's international convention. It's not the Americas convention. It's going to be an international convention.
Yep, that's right. We're excited to going to the Vegas this year.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be in Vegas this year.
Thank you for the presentation today.
Well, we look forward to sharing this out as soon as I possibly can, and we'll get everybody a link to it, and we'll see where it goes. We're at 56 minutes. We're under an hour. Hey, we'll see you next time on a HealthEagle Show.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.